So as promised last week, I'm going to talk about the election in 2020, and how specifically I think that the gubernatorial election here in Illinois in 2018 can tell us a lot about how that's going to play out. Also, sorry for this, I have things I need to do and not a lot of time to do it. So the last couple of times I've done a series of videos like this, that is in January and in February, I've put the argument first and talked about how to act on that later. Not so much this time. That's sort of a philosophical thing for me. Most of the time the argument precedes the action because the action isn't meant to be definitive. It's not the only thing that you can do. But I don't think that any reasonable person is going to disagree that the election right now is kinda fucked. Kinda magna-fucked. And that's kinda depressing. And I just kinda figured, sort that out ahead of time. Because it's really depressing. My cat's here, he's bugging me. He's switching. You're not bugging me. He's just doing kitty stuff. So, here's the first part of my argument. The gubernatorial election in 2014 foretold how the presidential election in 2016 was going to play out. Both Pat Quinn and Hillary Clinton were well-known political figures in previous administrations. Previous administrations that have been put under heavy political scrutiny. If I may say wrongly so, in Obama's case. Both Donald Trump and Bruce Rauner positioned themselves as outsiders to the political system who intended to combat a corrupt system. Both of them crafted a populist message based on the idea that they were successful businessmen. People voted for both Donald Trump and Bruce Rauner due to dissatisfaction with the previous administration. Both Bruce Rauner and Donald Trump tried and failed to use government shutdowns as a weapon to push through policies that were largely unpopular with the people they were governing. And this led to historical unpopularity with them amongst the people they were governing. So, there are some meaningful similarities, enough that we can glean some information. Maybe. And all that's nice, but how did the election go here in 2016? So first off, Bruce Rauner was renominated to the gubernatorial seat by a very narrow margin on the GOP side. The DNC side of the field started out very flooded. I remember there being 11 candidates. I think Wikipedia says that there were 10. But the front runner, the person who very quickly became a front runner, was someone named J.B. Pritzker, another self-made billionaire. J.B. Pritzker won both the DNC primaries and the gubernatorial election after putting what can be conservatively be described as record-shattering amounts of money into the DNC coffers. Seriously, the gubernatorial election here in Illinois a couple years back, last year, broke every record. And of course, Bruce Rauner lost the election catastrophically. So how do we translate that into a hypothetical situation for the 2020 election? So first off, we can probably guess that Trump is going to very narrowly win the Republican National Convention nomination. Not a lot of people support him, but the right kinds of people support him. And the people who do the nomination process understand that. The DNC field is going to be flooded with candidates, says the future predicting man. But the winner is eventually going to be whoever it is that can raise the most funds for the DNC. I can't tell you exactly who that's going to be, but I feel like it's probably going to be Cory Booker. Trump is going to lose in a landslide. So whoever wins the DNC nomination is going to win the presidency. Now, there are some caveats to this that make my predictions maybe a little less accurate, maybe a little less reliable. The Democrats are able to keep control of both houses here in Illinois. I chalk that up to how bad gerrymandering is across the nation. It's not as bad here. While Rauner was so bad, I had a poster hanging up over here about how bad he was until he was kicked out of office. It must be said that Donald Trump is significantly worse. The worst things that Rauner did were not pass a budget for 3 years, fully fund a feature-length attack ad against his major political opponent, Michael Madigan, and cover up an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease in a nursing home that he owned. Trump does worse shit than that before breakfast every day. Also, it must be said that Donald Trump could be impeached and removed from office, which would make Mike Pence, the nominee for the GOP presidential election. God help us all. But I'm not sure I have enough faith in the system to consider that a realistic probability. Also, it should be said that Pat Quinn was under a great deal of scrutiny for good reason. The administration before him was the Blagojevich administration, which you might remember as the Blasanovich administration, the most corrupt gubernatorial administration in living memory. They were so bad that they freaked out veteran members of the FBI. They're the people who tried to sell Obama's Senate seat, remember? And Pat Quinn was Rod Blagojevich's vice governor, or lieutenant governor, I think is the appropriate title. Whereas, as I said, much of the scrutiny towards the Obama administration was wrongly put. That's not to say that there aren't legitimate reasons to have scrutinized the Obama administration. There absolutely are, as there are with every president. I'm just saying people didn't choose legitimate reasons to scrutinize the Obama administration. Does anybody remember Benghazi? Does anybody remember where's the birth certificate? Did we all forget that? I didn't. So the reason for this change, it's not permanent. I've just got stuff I need to do and didn't have an hour and a half to do the whole setup that I usually... My room's a mess right now. So yeah, that's all I've got to say. Until we get there, take care of yourselves, alright?